OpenAI has just released its first AI agent for the public to use however they want. What is an AI agent, Rodrigo? Have you ever imagined taking your computer? You want to take that trip in 30 days and you ask your computer, your agent, search for hotels, search for plane tickets, search for hotels, itineraries, tours, restaurants, and I'll add more. You can ask it to book everything for you, to pay for it all while you work to earn money to cover those expenses. Imagine, for example, that you want to shop online, you want to buy a microphone, you want to buy a mouse, for instance, and you ask your agent to search the entire internet for the best models for you to buy. Search the entire internet for the best models for you to buy. All right, what are the best prices for you to buy cheaply? You can do all of this today. Let's react here to the video from OpenAI itself. I'll go through the presentation here and explain to you the best way for you to use all of this. Just a reminder that this is already available. All right, before we start, comment below. Would you like to have an agent for yourself? Basically, it's like a secretary who does everything you want, handling all the boring tasks for you. Comment below if you would use it. Let's get started right away. 3, 2, 1, go.
OpenAI has just launched the Operator, which is the first preview of the AI agent. It allows you to control browsers so they can perform tasks for you. I'm going to quickly talk about the blog post and some of the key details, and then I'll show some videos and demonstrations of the demo. Today, we are launching the Operator, an agent that can access the web to perform tasks for you. Using your own browser, it can view a web page and interact with it by typing, clicking, and scrolling. The Operator is one of our first agents capable of working for you independently. You assign a task to it, and it carries it out. The Operator is built on a new model called the Computer Usage Agent, or CUA. To summarize, it combines the visual capability of GPT-40 with advanced reasoning through reinforcement learning. It is trained to interact with graphical user interfaces, or GUIs for short buttons, menus and text fields that people see on the screen.
Basically, it's like this. Today, the Operator is, let's say, stuck in OpenAI's browser. So imagine you use Chrome, Bing, Safari, Firefox browser. So what happens next? OpenAI created its own browser and the Operator will operate within that browser. So anything you can do on the internet, Google search, you use the browser, for example, Chrome. Go to Mercado Libre or Amazon to make a purchase. Go to the Azul or Gol website to buy a ticket, for example. So everything you can do today in your browser, the Operator can do, but within OpenAI's browser. Now, Rodrigo, can I use it in any app? Right? Hold on. We'll talk about that. We'll get there in a bit.
The Operator can, quote-unquote, see screenshots and interact using a mouse and keyboard. With all the actions you would take with a mouse and keyboard in a browser, this allows you to take actions on the web without needing custom app integrations. Basically, how it works is, you can describe the task you want to be done, and the Operator can take care of the rest. Users can choose to take control at any point in the remote browser.
This is important. So you're going to start by typing a prompt, which is the command you always do for MIA. So you're going to tell it what you want. So you wake up and say something like, search for the top news for me. Read my emails, because you can get in Gmail through the browser, for example. So read my emails and give me a summary of what's most important. Buy the plane ticket for me. Do a search on the best hotels in the southern coast, for example. So everything you can do, basically it can do. Now, take control. Let's go. At any moment, there's a little button there that you can press. We're going to see that working here soon. Take it easy, but basically at any moment you can press and take control because you can see the mouse cursor moving. You'll see it's kind of scary, but it's also really amazing. In addition, it will also ask you questions as it searches. For example, it searched for the mouse. Then it asks, can I buy? Then it will ask, and you say yes, and then it buys. How do you talking to it? That's right, you can talk to it via text, or you can talk to it using your voice. Let's go.
If you want to enter, let's say, your payment details, you can do that. Or if you need to solve a CAPTCHA or something like that. Now, some use cases, you can use this on a reservation website. So, you'll see in some examples that you can use this to make reservations. Can you use this to buy tickets? Ordering groceries? There are a number of use cases built in here. Now, there are some limitations. The Operator is currently in an early preview of research. And although it is already capable of handling a wide variety of tasks, it is still learning, evolving, and can make mistakes. For example, it finds challenges with complex interfaces, like creating slide presentations or managing calendars.
Just imagine, soon you'll be using the operator to make a presentation for your work. Because today, you can use these AIs within my mentoring program. I teach you, you have AI to create scripts, you have AI to make presentations, you have AI to create mind maps, you have AI to make videos, create images, but they are all separate. Each AI does a specific thing. Now, imagine you, for example, asking it to go into PowerPoint, for instance, and not just have the AI create the presentation, but for it to actually move the mouse cursor and click the buttons itself. Because today, what do? You enter a specific AI, for example, an AI for presentations. There's Gamma AI. You go into Gamma AI and you'll have to enter certain information. I want a presentation that I'm going to make about dentistry, about law, about family law within the legal field. So you have to set the parameters. Now, imagine if the AI itself enters the program and sets the parameters. Look how amazing. Soon this will be possible.
Let's go. In terms of what's coming next, this is coming to the app, and they mentioned that it will be released in the coming weeks. In addition, as they mentioned at the launch, this will evolve to have more enhanced features over time, but they plan to release this for Plus Team and Enterprise users. So, let's dive into some of the demonstrations. This is the homepage of the operator. It's at operator.com.
So, this is the screen of the operator. You will see here, of course, you can press the button to translate, and depending on whether you're in the United States, Europe, or Brazil, you can set the language you want. But look, how interesting. It already has some buttons here. Look at this. You can book dinners and events, food delivery, some services, shopping, travel, here, news. And there's an arrow here for you to look at. Other options. Also here there are some prompts. And find me a restaurant that has happy hour to relax a bit. Find a sushi restaurant that is well rated online and make a reservation for 2 people at night. Look how cool. Reserve a table for 8 people at the restaurant of seafood at 6 p.m. Look, very specifically, you can send an image here, for example. You take a picture of a mouse and say like this. I'm looking for a similar mouse on the internet. To buy. For example, you can type the text here, look how amazing it is, comment. Down here, you wouldn't use it.
It will be available as soon as the live broadcast ends. And as you can see, the interface is very similar to a baby chat. I'll start with a very simple example. I'm going to use OpenTable and say, reserve a table for 2 at Beretta tonight at 7 p.m. So, I'm going to expand on that a bit. So, as soon as I type in the query, the operator launches a completely remote browser. This browser is running in the cloud somewhere. And as you can see, it's already installed and working. My hands are off the keyboard.
So you notice that here, on the right side, it opens a browser like Chrome, Safari, Firefox, Bing, and so on. And this is where the magic happens. This is where the operator moves the mouse cursor and clicks as if they were you. And here, on the left side, are the commands you can use. Take control, ask it something, right? You can say things like, hey, hold on a second. I like that other mouse over there, and so on. You interact with your agent.
I'm typing these things. That's just clicking. She started this session of the browser. She knew where the open site is, which is opentable.com. As you can see here, it also summarizes the chain of thought, which is to go to the URL search for Beretta. And something really cool happened, which is, for some reason, the open operator thought we were in Virginia, and it automatically corrected itself to San Francisco. This is using GPT in the operator. You can also give custom instructions.
Here, for now, it's using the model GPT-4o. All right. And of course, as they release other models, right, it will keep updating. This one is right at the beginning. It's in beta. Actually, everything is in beta, right? Either it's in alpha or it's in beta, right? Why? Because it's always updating. So it's an excuse to say that mistakes can happen, right? That's why you keep an eye on it. It's like a Tesla, right? He drives, but you have to keep an eye on it, right? So basically, that's it. He's in control, but there's the steering wheel over there.
If you want to interact, let me show this really quickly here. Just to create a custom instruction for the queries that are needed. I live in San Francisco. So, the operator recognized that and then automatically corrected itself to go to C to go to Beretta. Alright, it seems that 7 p.m. is not available. But you know what? 7:45 p.m. is great. So, let's do that. In this case, the operator went back. And this is a great example of task delegation where the operator needs help or assistance. Or just wants to ask you something.
He simply, look, you asked him to book for 7 p.m., but there was already someone else who booked for 7 p.m. In other words, it wasn't available. So, but 7:45 was available. So, That's the moment when you're going to interact. Imagine that you say you want a plane ticket for Wednesday at 7 p.m., let's suppose, but there's no 7 p.m., but there is 8 p.m. Is he going to ask you, or can you interact? Also, can you ask like this? Look, I want a ticket to Punta Cana for up to $1,000. For example, then he finds one for $1,100. Then he's going to request your authorization. Right. So basically, it's a really good example of interaction.
He simply returns and responds, "So, this is practice. You wouldn't need to watch this. You could just let it play while you did other things." So he would come back and say, "Hey, I can't do it." Said, "Yes, and we're starting with a web. You will receive notifications, etc." When the operator switches to the phone, you will receive notifications from the phone, just like the interactions we have with apps in general. Alright, yes, that's great. Let's go. Alright, so again, a very, very simple interaction, like you would have with an assistant, which is, "Hey, I found out that the reservations for 7 p.m. weren't available."
Imagine that you have an employee, but it's an extremely smart employee who works 24 hours a day, who has the knowledge of the entire internet, is always available and won't ask for a raise. It's kind of like that. So whenever I say, hey, you will interact, you will ask, it will ask you, think of it as a person.
Do this exercise. Let's do it for 7:45 p.m. And again, you can see that the operator at this point said, "Okay, I should." This is a great example of the confirmation work we'll talk about a bit later, but before taking an action that is irreversible in this case, you can cancel the review, obviously. But again, taking a critical action is asking US before actually doing it. In this case, I'll say, let's do it. Alright, that was pretty quick. I would say it took about 50 seconds. And again, we're observing in this case, etc. But how could Sam start and continue? Okay, so let's try something. Unfortunately, that table is no longer available, so she will probably look for other times. In the meantime, how about it? Let's try something a little more complicated. How about shopping? Yes, I love shopping. So I've been using the operator to do all my shopping. I really love cooking a lot, and I've been using the operator exclusively for shopping.
So I have a shopping list here, which is, look how cool you like to cook, and then you need the ingredients. And then it's something like this. I'll give some examples. I already know what I'm going to make. I'm going to make a filet mignon with mustard sauce. So you're going to say, look, I'm going to make a filet mignon with mustard sauce. He already knows where you live, right? By location. You could tell him in case you were in anonymous browsing. But anyway, he already knows where you live. What is he going to do? He's going to look for the necessary ingredients near your home to buy, or you can ask him to buy online. Look, how interesting. Now let's suppose you don't know what you're going to make. Can you say it like this? I have a red wine here. Which dish goes best? Then he's going to say, goes best with red meats. Then you say, wow, what do I need to make? What options do I have to cook? Red meat. Then he's going to say, filet mignon or mustard sauce, for example. What ingredients do I need? So buy these for me. So look, just the flow of steps that AI can help you with.
This is it. Let's see what it is. Eggs, spinach, mushrooms, chicken thighs, chili crunch. So this is a picture that you're sending. Exactly.
Look how interesting. He sent a picture of the ingredients. Very cool, and that's handwritten.
And I'm going to use Instacart, which is what we usually use. Can you buy this for me? Please? And I'm also going to specify the store that I like. Let's see if he figures it out. Okay, so in this case, again, it operated quickly. Actually, it was recognized using the vision capabilities of GPT-4 to understand that the image said eggs, spinach, mushrooms, chicken, thighs, and he really knew Gus's market, and I'm like, yeah, that looks great. Cool. Again, just like OpenTable, it instantiated a browser and goes ahead and starts running the test. I'm going to expand the view, and let's see what he does. So, in both cases, you said what you wanted to use. If you just say, buy these groceries and don't specify Instacart, what's happening? He will do a search using a search engine very similar to what we do, and it will find Instacart or Gus's website directly, or anything else that's there.
So if you say something like, I like the supermarket, such and such, then he goes straight to the supermarket, right? I like the supermarket, buy more, right? I'm just making this up. So he goes straight to what you're pointing out. Now, if you don't specify any, he will do a search like we do on Google these days. He will look at the options, see which ones, for example, are faster or cheaper, and then you will choose, I want it cheaper. I want it faster.
Look in the search mechanism. Analyze this. Ask the question if you need clarification and proceed from there. If you wanted to build something like the operator without a queue, you would need to use some specialized apps. For example, if you wanted your model to buy things from Instacart, you would need to find out if Instacart had an app. You would need to find out if that app had all the necessary functions, and you would need to give your model the specifications of that app. But if your site, like most other sites, didn't have an app, then you wouldn't be lucky. Using screenshots? No, nothing. Just yes, yes. And that's where the queue comes in. By teaching the model to use the same basic interface that we use every day, it unlocks a whole new range of software capabilities.
What is he talking about here? He's saying like this, that if you use, for example, apps to make the purchase, like in the case of APIs, the program, the supermarket, for example, it would have to have a system that was open, that had the API there for you to request permission to use. So it was a very complex situation. Now, if they teach ChatGPT, in this case, the operator, to control the mouse cursor because it already has the vision, you take a photo, it already recognizes it, you send an image, it already describes it. So actually, when it's browsing, it's taking pictures of your screen, interpreting what's happening, and moving the mouse cursor there based on what you asked for. So it interprets what you asked and does it. It executes what you requested. But since it's browsing the internet and the service you want it to perform is available, the supermarket is available, the ticket purchase is available, and so on. So it's like you, it's like a person moving the mouse cursor. And because of that, there's no need for an API, no need for complexity, no need for programming. It's another simpler way.
Possible. So this is keyboard and mouse, right? If you use the keyboard. And exactly to Ichidu, it's about removing another bottleneck in our path towards IAG and allowing our agents to move and act in the digital world. It's about removing another bottleneck in our path towards IAG and letting our agents move and act in the digital world.
I'll give you some examples.
The first thing Kwa does when controlling the computer is look at the screenshot. So now you're seeing the search results, eggs page on Instacart. So Kwa understands that he's just looking at the raw pixels, and after Kwa sees that image, he decides what to do. Next, he's doing some internal monologues. And this is the summarized thought process. So what Kwa is doing is based on that, he's selecting organic eggs and adding them to the cart, which is a reasonable thing to do. So after he makes that plan, he figures out what the next action he should take is. So let's see what he does. Next. Okay, so you see that he clicked this add button here, so that's very reasonable. Now, every time Kwa takes an action, he takes the next screenshot of the computer so he knows what effect his action had on it. So let's see what happens. Then, yes. Okay, so after clicking on the button add, now you see it in the cart. And this continues. This cycle of taking actions, capturing screenshots, and creating new sub-plans continues until the operator decides that the task is complete, and then it returns to you. It's really cool to see a thought process happening like this.
Now you have to have the trust to, for example, add your card there if you want him to do everything, right? Because if you don't add the card, that's fine. He'll search, he'll add to the cart, and when it's time to check out, you can take control and enter the payment method. Now yes, finally. It depends on each person's trust. There are many things where my card is registered, and many things where it's not. So it will depend on that. Of the service, because your card won't be registered at OpenAI. He will be registered with the Instacart service, for example. So you really have to trust the service. Not OpenAI in this case, it depends on each person.
That's right, yes. So let's go back live and yes, the operator has finished. And see, do you want to see if the operator... Yes, let's see. You know what? I want a little more eggs. I think I'm going to eat a lot of eggs. Okay, so what I can do right now is click on this button called Take Control. So this remote control that we were talking about, how does the operator trigger this remote browser to make it work? We almost think of it as a surface area where the operator can work. And then I can work.
For example, so you saw that he clicked on take control there, which means to take control. And it's really interesting because it would be like in real life. Imagine you're a boss and then an intern comes over. You ask him to make a list of what you need. He will hand it over to you. You will take a look. You will check it and you say, oh, just add it. 2 more items of this here. Done. That's basically what you're doing. You'll look at it and then you'll say something like, oh, I want 1 more box of eggs. Then it will add it and done. It's finished. So basically, it's a simulation of real life in real life.
In this case, taking control of the operator, which is also essential for us to think about the user and their controls. Like at any moment, a user can take control and give instructions to the operator or add a bit more, type a bit more, etc. How do you move the laptop from one side to the other? Just like you did with the king? Totally, exactly, right? Just like in this case, I'm going to do these 2 and then I'm going to tell the operator, it's like you and I are working together. Like, hey, I did this. Can you fix that? And I'm going to tell the operator that I added another egg to make the order. Now, the operator can see what you're doing during control mode. Great point. When you take control, it's very much like a session with your local browser. It's completely private. The operator can't see. And this is one of the reasons why I have to tell the operator. Or you really don't need to.
He can. That's really interesting. When you take control, the operator doesn't look. Why? Imagine that you're going to type a password. Then you say, damn, but I'm going to type in the password. The operator will know. The operator will know. The operator will know if I put the password in my bank, right? So when you take control, it goes back to being a normal browser. Nobody's watching. That's why when he added a box of eggs, he had to tell the operator, look, I took control here. I added a box of eggs. Come back, right? So you inform what you did.
Look at the last screenshot and try to guess, but it's really good. It's like you and I are working together. I went out, did something, and came back. Right. I completely messed everything up, and I have to tell you that in this case I'm going to tell the operator, and now I'm giving control back to the operator. It's a completely private session when you take control. You'll also notice that I'm connected to Instacart here. I did this before the demonstration and I've been connected for a while, and it's very similar to your local browser. When you log into Instacart, until the cookies are cleared, you stay connected, and we have very good controls. You can go to settings and control and remove it at any time.
I'll give you some examples.
Buy 4 tickets for the Warriors game against the Lakers? Excuse me. Alright, this weekend, like the best seats, please give us some options.
Look how interesting. So now he's going to buy tickets for a game. It's interesting that he said it like that. Up to a certain amount, up to $500. So you're going to mention the team, the date, up to what amount, because then it could be a seat, it could be, it's a box, and so on.
Alright, so what apps are available here? We have many apps like Starbucks, Target, Etsy, and all sectors. But the operator isn't really restricted to those apps. You can use pretty much any operator with any site. One of the advantages of doing this is that you can multitask. Like the sun, which you were talking about earlier. I'm gonna try to see if I can get a sneaker code.
Here, anyway, he's basically saying the same thing. He's going to repeat the supermarket example. I can go in, I already suggested a ticket purchasing website, or I can ask him to search. Look, see, in all of them, it's just like a plain ticket. Look, I want you to buy it from America. Online, I want you to buy it from Azul. Got it. So basically, you can just ask him to buy the ticket or recommend a security service, a trusted service.
And yes, so I think we're all really excited about this vision of the operator doing tasks for you. But it's one of the first agents we're launching in the world that has real-world side effects. So we carefully thought about how to implement this safely. The framework we used to think about this was centered around misalignment. For example, and if the user is misaligned, then maybe they're asking for a harmful task like a weapon or something like that. In this case, fortunately, we did a lot of work with the Chat GPT to bring many of the same mitigations.
Okay, so let's go. And he's saying that it's very important. It really impacts the world. This launch really impacts things because one thing is me asking for it. What to do is kind of to ask a question. So, for example, I don't know, how do you make a bomb? Something like that, right? He will answer me. Actually, he won't answer me in theory, but some more open ones might respond. It's just that he's not taking the initiative to buy it. The initiative to buy, here I can say, hey, buy that for me. Online, in separate stores. These parts, and then the agent is going to buy, in other words, he's taking action. But in the real world, he's doing a financial operation. It's one thing for me to ask him how to do it step by step, and another thing for him to do it for me. So it has an effect in the real world. Now, right. So he's saying like this, well, what if they ask to buy a gun? I don't know, something like that. So he's there with what we call rails, guardrail. He's set up in a way that he's going to deny, he won't let you do certain action.
For example, we refuse harmful tasks, including harmful tasks from agents. We have moderation models, we have detection of posting spikes, we have blocked sites, and I'm mentioning these mitigations, but that's how we think about it. It's this stack of mitigations that incrementally reduces the risk to the point where we feel comfortable deploying all the confirmations we talk about. Hey, do you want to book the restaurant? Should you buy the tickets? These are all examples of... Exactly, and I'm about to talk about the confirmations. Another area of misalignment is if the agent is misaligned. So, if the model makes a mistake, maybe buy the wrong item or, yes, booking the wrong hotel room.
Another thing is, not only is it set up to not do things that are illegal, illicit, or harmful in theory, but at the same time, it asks for confirmations. Because imagine telling it to buy something. I don't know, television, $5,000. It asks, do you really want to buy it? Is that the model? Are you sure? Don't you want to save money? And then you're going to confirm, and by confirming, even if it's searched incorrectly, imagine you said like this. What's the cheapest iPhone option, for example? Then it goes and picks one that's a bit more expensive. If you search manually, you'll find the cheapest one. So it messed up the search anyway, it asks for confirmation. Look, did you like this one? Is this the one? Is the price good? So it buys. So even if it made a mistake, let's say, but you confirmed, then it's basically passing the responsibility onto you. I'll give some examples.
To do this, our main mitigation is confirmations. So the operator will return if they're about to do something with the state and will ask you to double check the details in case you've made a mistake. The third area of misalignment is if the website is misaligned. So maybe the site is fraudulent, fake, or literally, operator, please send me $100. Obviously, we don't want to follow those instructions. So, we developed our model to try to avoid those instructions and not follow them. But if that fails, we also have a separate layer on top. This is what we call a monitor, an injection, a prompt. Think of it like antivirus software that watches and monitors your journey and looks for anything suspicious. If there is, it pauses. Let's see.
It will, in theory, identify if the site is fraudulent if it's not an official site. But remember, he makes mistakes. He is just starting out. So if he enters a website that is often not Nike's, it is Nike's, for example. In theory, he will know that it is not official. But if for some reason he makes a mistake, he will ask you, he will say, do you want to buy? All right, did you check? And so on.
Check the status. Okay. It looks like the tickets are ready to be purchased. Yes, please. Well, that's happening. That's good. I can ask to reserve, but I'll close it for now. Ah, just once, please. And it looks like we're adding pizzas. Ah, cool. I'm going to log in here really quick.
One interesting thing, if you look here, there are 3 windows open. So you can, for example, ask it to search for a trip, at the same time shop, at the same time book a table, for example. So this is one example, right?
Like where I obviously need to log in or enter my credentials to buy those tickets. And the operator just asks how you described, with confirmations and making sure the controller is in the right place. And we assume it.
And what are the future prospects? The future prospects are for it to leave its browser and be able to perform any operation on your computer. So for example, I have some apps that aren't in the browser. For example, let's edit a video in Adobe Premiere. It's a program, it's not on the web, let's say. Sometimes there's your company's app, a CRM, for example. It's not necessarily on the web. It's there in a system, actually, sometimes closed off from the company. I'll give an example of one of our clients. Imagine that you're going to send a quote via WhatsApp. You can ask for your operator outside the system, for example, outside there from the browser, directly on your computer. It can go into the company system, check the customer's history, and then it will create it right there within the company's own system. The quote, also check if the product is in stock. Then it goes to WhatsApp. It's okay that WhatsApp is on the web, so it would already work here, but that's fine. Then it goes there on WhatsApp web, send the quote, cool. Then the customer says, I want to buy, okay. Then you go there, the system itself. The operator will go back to the company's system and generate a payment link. Is something going back to WhatsApp? It will deliver the payment link to the person, the customer. Closing the purchase. The operator's system will go back to the company's system and update the status there. So you see that the future will be this operator breaking free from that prison. Let's say it's the OpenAI system and go straight to the computer and then do whatever you want. That works. And it's going to really open up a lot of possibilities. So what did you think? You got scared? Are you going to use it? You liked it. Just a reminder, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, hype. This video and any questions, leave them in the comments below.